I am so excited to be having this conversation with you, TJ. So thanks for being here. As I said in the green room, y'all have a lot going on this month on top of Pride. So thank you for spending this time with us and taking some questions from our community.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So let's dive right in.
Yeah,
Meg just gave you a really great introduction,
it
and
sounds really impressive. It's quite an honor.
well, you've done a ton of incredible things. So let's dive into those incredible things a little bit more. And, I'd love to know, where you're from, some fun facts about you, and just kind of what makes you you to kick things off.
Yeah. My name's TJ Chernick. Thomas is written on everything, but I go by TJ. I'm actually originally from a small town in Texas called Amarillo, which you would probably only know if you listen to country music, because there's a lot of songs written about it for some reason I don't know. I love the work that I do serving the LGBT business community. As my bio states, it's never a career I thought I would have, but it's a career I love because now it's been about 8 years. I play the cello on the side, as was mentioned earlier, which is a fun fact that I've been playing since I was 3. And my quarantine, I'm drinking your 5-hour energy, which I probably shouldn't bring to the camera. And my quarantine hobby has been learning Mandarin Chinese.
Impressive. I love that. And we're going to talk a little more about the cello later, but as I said, really impressive background. And a piece of that background is a little bit of journalism and international relations, including coordinating international gender projects in Iraq with the International Human Rights Law Institute. Wow, that's a mouthful and amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those experiences and how they led to working with the New York chapter of the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, so it's a winding road, but it led to the most appropriate place. So I initially started my career doing international human rights work. My research prior in Morocco and Iceland dealt with a lot of sustainability, gender issues. Gender equality was a huge deal for me, especially in the LGBT world. It's a huge deal, and that's I thought it was so impactful to work on gender programs. And those programs I worked on included in addition to doing educational reform for women in Iraq, also focused on a program called the Iraq History Project, which focused on collecting torture testimonials from victims of the Saddam Hussein regime. And I was very lucky to spearhead an LGBT aspect of that very program. And my journalism degree actually came as a result of working on those programs. I wanted to be able to contribute to those actual programs diligently. So I pursued a master's degree in journalism, which also led me to a cool career part-time in Chicago, writing and reporting and doing all kinds of stuff for the LGBT community. And when I moved to New York, I actually serendipitously ended up in New York with my partner, who had accepted a job there, and I was invited to the LGBT Chamber of Commerce event. And at the time, the word Chamber of Commerce is about as sexy as your grandmother's nightgown. I thought it was like a chamber of secrets. I wasn't really sure. I would imagine wealthy cis straight white men sitting around a mahogany table talking about business or something. And what I discovered was this incredibly powerful group of LGBTQ plus people who were reshaping the economy and contributing to New York's economic status as the center of the universe. And I was able to provide my ability to share stories to empower and reframe what I thought could be beneficial to create change in our society. I always thought it was grassroots that was going to help me make a difference. And then I realized I could utilize the bottom line to affect change. And that's something really powerful. And when it comes to economic advancement for our community, it's been really, really cool.
Incredible. And I love the Harry Potter reference. And so we've already cleared up that this is not the Chamber of Secrets,
Yeah.
but let's talk a little bit more about what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little more about the NGLCC and why? What's its mission and what are some of the organization's initiatives?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'll give the quick broad stroke from national to local. The National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, which is headquartered out of DC, is the sole certifying body for LGBT-owned businesses. So in the same way you can be a woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, disabled-owned business and have opportunities to connect with supplier diversity programs for contracting, specifically focusing and creating opportunity for minority-owned businesses. NGLCC represents the LGBT aspect of that. So they do that through educational events, working directly with city and state and municipal governments to ensure their contracting is as equal and open opportunity as a cis straight white business owner. And they do wonderful programs that are educational and lobbying and things like that. NGLCC New York, which I'm the executive director of, I just realized for the poor captioner, I'm going to slow down. So my apologies. I tend to talk really fast, and the 5-hour energy probably didn't help. But NGLCC New York is one of 56 affiliate LGBT chambers of commerce of NGLCC. What makes us a little bit different is that we're the only one that's also a satellite office of NGLCC. So in addition to serving the mission of NGLCC for New York to find, certify, and create opportunities for LGBT-owned businesses, we also have a general Chamber of Commerce constituency of allied-owned businesses, corporate partners, nonprofits, universities, students, all of which to be the LGBT business voice of New York City and state. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Absolutely. I have a lot more questions, so forgive my follow-up, but my mom's an entrepreneur, so I'm a little familiar with like the certification program and, for lack of a better word, the hoops that she's had to jump through certifying her business as a women-owned business in New York. It was not a very easy process for her, but I saw on your site that there's also a certification program for the NGLCC. So can you tell us a little more about that certification program and why that's so important?
Absolutely. And that's funny that you should say that. My mom was also an entrepreneur and a mechanic. And I always had the hardest time explaining to her what I was doing with NGLCC. And one day it clicked and she was like, "Oh, is it like that women's certification that I got?" And I was like, there it is. Yes, that is it. So actually, WeBank, which is the women's certification body for one of the women's certification bodies of the United States, is actually our sister organization and was the one that helped us found our certification process, which made it incredibly legitimate. So they're an incredible organization. Certification is the process of showing that you, as the owner, own 51% or more of your company. You do that through a number of resources, documentation that proves that, legal documentation. And the whole purpose is to, one, the ability to stand up and be counted as LGBT business owners is incredibly powerful. And if we could, it is actually estimated, if we could get what is estimated to be 1.4 million LGBT business owners in the United States, it is estimated that they contribute $1.7 trillion to the US economy, which is more than the GDP of Russia and South Korea. So it's, we could be our own island. So it's there's a lot of power if we were able to stand up and be counted and show this is what we're doing for the community. We are creating, we're not just buying with our, billions of dollars of that we purchase with, we're also contributing, creating jobs and opportunities and really shaping the US economy. So that is why it's incredibly important.
It's amazing. Wow. And I'm so glad that we have these statistics now. And I'm sure it's only going to get better with time, the reporting and all the back end stuff. So, talking about GDP and, how this has affected, the future, how has the pandemic affected LGBTQIA plus businesses? And what steps is the NGLCC NY taking to help these business owners?
That is really the question of the year. And in short, the pandemic affects marginalized communities disproportionately, hands down, no matter what it is, from health to business. And I think when it comes to business owners and LGBTQ plus owned businesses, the most important thing is to realize that, as the LGBT community, we are so many things within that. We are the BIPOC, we are AAPI, we are veterans, we are all of those things all at once. And each demographic, especially for trans women of color in particularly, each one is facing a different group of struggles throughout the pandemic. But I think, when it comes to business ownership, we did a study recently with CNBC and Acorns that said 88% of LGBTQ owned businesses that were surveyed are expected to make a turnaround and a recovery from COVID. And I think that alone is really a testament to the ingenuity and flexibility and strength of our community. Outside of being business owners, being out and is in itself a struggle for many people in the community. And if we look at, there's this statistic that our business owners, our average business owner of business is in business for 12 years or more, which is way higher than the average business owner in the United States. So there's just a sense of resiliency within the community that I think is really showing itself as we come out of the pandemic.
It's amazing, really. And I feel blessed. I got to moderate a panel of LGBTQIA plus founders yesterday. So it feels like this is kind of the full circle conversation.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's amazing. Resilient is the best word. I love that you said that. And going off that resiliency, a big effort was made throughout the pandemic and of course now to really help struggling businesses bounce back. So as the general public here, how can we better identify and help LGBTQIA plus businesses rebound from what, of course, was a really tough year for everyone?
That first and foremost, well, your dollar, you vote with your dollar, right? Every dollar you spend affects everything, especially when it comes to business owners. And it is the same whenever, when we look at Black Lives Matters and the importance of purchasing products and services from minority-owned businesses. The same goes with, with the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, I believe it's, oh my goodness, I forgot the stat, but billions of dollars are spent on Pride every year. And imagine if those billions of dollars spent on Pride were all purchased from LGBT certified businesses, then that money was actually going back to the community, and those community leaders were able to invest within their own companies. That type of investment, it is so crucial, and you should really think about every dollar you spend. If you could make an adjustment and purchase from a minority-owned business, that's super powerful. And I think to identify those businesses, it's important. There are so many resources and websites and collectives that support LGBT-owned businesses, and doing a little research, finding those businesses, finding the cool things or services that they create, utilizing LGBT chambers of commerce. They're specifically there to be a resource for not only LGBT-owned businesses, but businesses that are putting their money where their mouth is, and joining LGBT chambers of commerce, which are a community resource, and providing support that way.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned, Pride Month being, that 1 month of the year. And of course, we're celebrating Pride at PowerToFly in conjunction with it being Pride Month. But, of course, it goes without saying, we see that widespread support for this community and LGBTQIA plus team members, at a corporate level, I guess expressively during this month. But many people fear that this support can fade into the background for the other 11 months of our year. So how can we better work with businesses to promote LGBTQIA plus causes and their own employees year round while holding these companies accountable for promises they might make during Pride Month specifically?
That is, that's another thing that's so important. And I love if you're involved in, if you're an ally or you're in the community and you're part of the conversation on Instagram, that is such a conversation right now. Is you can't just slap a rainbow on on your logo and then just be like, we did it, because that's not how it works. And I think the same can be said for like the pink washing. Whenever, so many companies go pink for March for Breast Cancer Awareness. But after March, cancer doesn't stop. And it requires so much more. And it requires that those companies, should be donating to these, to organizations that either support, breast cancer awareness, or Black equity firms, or LGBT organizations that support homeless, LGBT homeless youth. And those, when they can openly tout that type of support, that's what goes a lot further. And in the business community, though, there's also, with like inwardly, there's a whole other aspect. We need to see that those companies are supporting the LGBT people within the company. Like a quick investment idea for companies who, are one and done with Pride Month. If you don't have policies within your corporation that are inclusive to protect your LGBT employees, you're not, those people can't bring their full self to work, and your employee is an investment. And if you are only getting 40% of your investment, it's a bad investment. But creating spaces for people to be open and themselves at work and have upward mobility within the company, and providing opportunities for for minority leadership to progress upwards, that does show outward. There, it is proven that the LGBT community, 50% of them make purchasing decisions based on if they can see that type of leadership visibility. And the LGBTQ plus community, they watch and they see what corporations do. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I'm plus wanting everything that you're saying. Yeah, we live by that motto, not or every single day is Mother's Day and every single day should be Pride. So I can totally relate to what you said about the pink washing and supporting these underrepresented groups more than just the month of designation. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions for you. I'm watching the time rapidly tick away, but I do want to open this up to our community. So if you have any questions for TJ, now's the time, put them in the chat and I will get to as many as we can in these last 7 minutes or so. But I said in the beginning, I wanted to kind of touch on the cello playing. What are you most looking forward to when live performances return? Do you play live? Like what do you do with your cello today?
Yeah, no, I still play, and I'm really excited for live performances. One thing that I've been doing for the past 10 years is I do a traveling holiday show with a group of friends that I made in Chicago 15 some odd years ago. And we started this little show in a little venue in Chicago. And over the course of 10 years, it grew and now travels to 5 different cities every December. And I greatly miss those people. And it's a very LGBTQ themed holiday show, and it's a show that really talks about chosen family and what it actually to create a space for chosen families to celebrate a secular fun holiday. And I really miss those people, so I'm really excited to see them in person.
Oh, that is amazing and so cool. What are the cities that y'all travel to, in case anyone out there is local?
Oh my gosh, everyone, Big Red and the Boys holiday show, Chicago, Philly, New York, San Francisco, LA.
I love it. We will have to include those in the follow-up email. That's amazing. But more importantly, how can people find out more about NGLCC New York? How can they become involved? And how can, if we have entrepreneurs on the line, how can they register their business or kind of take the first steps to getting in?
Yeah, so if you are a LGBT business owner who owns 51% or more of their company and you're interested in getting certified, visit NGLCC.org and click the button that says get certified. There is a specialist in the NGLCC office that will actually take you hand by hand, step by step to get your business certified. One of the biggest questions that I always get, so it's in the queue already. How do you prove that you're LGBT? There is a number of things they're called status qualifiers, and that's everything from a marriage certificate to gender confirmation notes from your doctor. There's a number of ways to do it. So your specialist will actually sit down with you and go over those options with you. If you're interested in getting involved with NGLCC New York and joining arguably the best LGBT business network of New York City and state and the tri-state, visit nglccny.org. Your local affiliate membership for NGLCCNY will actually cover your national certification fee. So it's a really big win. Then you get the advantages of your New York community involvement as well as your national LGBT certified community.
So that's probably a good question too. People have to go through the local level first and then it's national, or sorry if I missed that.
No, that's a great question. So whenever you apply for certification, one of the questions is, are you a member of your affiliate LGBT Chamber of Commerce? And you just say yes, take the receipt from your membership for your local affiliate, put it in there. And then it will waive that fee for you. And so I would say, join your local affiliate. You can even get started on your certification process first, then join your local affiliate, and it will all come together in the end.
Oh, that's beautiful. So easy. And I have to shout out this comment from Megan in the chat. They say LGBTQ plus chambers of commerce are such amazing organizations. Shout out to Plexus LGBT plus Allied Chamber of Commerce, where I serve on the Young Professionals Board here in Cleveland.
Can't recommend great group.
So shout out, Megan.
Shout out, Megan. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's incredible. And that's a lot about the business and work and what your company does. But TJ, where can the audience find you or follow you and all the great work you specifically are doing?
Well, I am TJ Chernick on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm not a big musical fan, but I thought it was a funny name. So you can find me on there. And we also have we have a number of Facebook groups for LGBT business owners through NGLCC-NY and NGLCC, and you can find us all through there as well.
Amazing. Well, TJ, it has been my pleasure moderating you today. I've learned so much, and I hope all of the entrepreneurs on the line go get certified, ask questions, register your business, and take part in all of the great economic growth that
stand up and be counted. It's important.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I feel very honored.
Amazing. Well, Meg, I'm going to pass it over to you. If Meg is still there.
We just took a little break.
No worries. I can probably kind of send us off here, but thank you, TJ. Appreciate your being here.